One of the three speakers today, my name is Peter Bernegger, and we may first, with Marv Munyon here, take the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Thank you for all coming, and I was invited to share some thoughts and ideas and some updates. There's three today that I'm going to cover. I will be speaking in the City of New London at the Tea Party chapter next week, Tuesday night. I believe it's the 23rd, if that's Tuesday. And it'll be on a different issues. So thank you. The three I'm going to cover here, I'm going to do a quick update on the redistricting lawsuits. Then the whole illusion of the Republican Party in the state of Wisconsin. I think you're going to find some very interesting questions that come up here. The last is, we've been researching this since last year. We're in the middle of the research, or the research project yet, of who really is running and controlling the RPW, the Wisconsin Republican Party. Today I'm going to name the names. We found out who's doing it. It's not Robin Voss. First is the lawsuit that was filed last year on the redistricting maps since Janet for Justice, which we now call Justice for Janet, to redistrict the state legislative maps. This week, Hillary Clinton's attorney, Mark Elias, filed a second lawsuit to redistrict the U.S. congressional maps. Right? This is a motion that I obtained, filed by attorney Tanya Meehan from a Washington, D.C. law firm. It's a motion to disqualify Janet for Justice based on $10 million of donations to her campaign by the Democratic Party of Wisconsin. I don't believe this motion is going to win, but it raises the issue of the volumes of money that's going into her campaign. Months ago, I tweeted out, and other social media that I'm on, I should say we're on, I have a great team helping me, we're going to remove Janet for Justice, or Justice for Janet. It's going to come true. We're going to do it. We filed an ethics complaint to the Wisconsin Ethics Commission last year. They have accepted it. It was over 100 pages long. It's detailing of over $12.3 million that was laundered into her campaign. Even if she says she doesn't know about it, it doesn't matter, because it's in the state statutes, chapter 11, that she has to assume knowledge that she knew what her campaign was filing to the state campaign finance ethics commission. We are using her own numbers against her to reach to that $12.3 million, and there's numerous types of campaign finance violations that she did. And I think it totals up towards 11 different types of campaign finance violations, totaling $12.3 million. The big one is smurfing, campaign money laundering. We're using her own numbers to prove that she laundered money into her campaign illegally. The complaint's been accepted. Chapter 11 also permits, once they accept it, and she gets a chance to respond, and it goes back and forth, and it'll go before the Ethics Commission again, not the Elections Commission, the Ethics Commission, two separate entities in the state government, that give us standing to go to a court and seek an order to have her removed. The commission themselves can also do the same. Now, we're not going to stop there. We have obtained an attorney out of the Carolinas that we will be filing a motion to intervene on both cases of the redistricting cases to get the disqualification of Justice for Janet Prasewicz, from illegal campaign finance funding and money laundering. We also filed 7 ethics complaints for campaign finance violations and smurfing, money laundering, against Josh Call. About $3.2 million. 6 out of the 7 ethics complaints have been accepted by the commission, Ethics Commission. They're in progress. He has been notified. We're going to include in our motions to intervene and motions to disqualify and remove from the bench Janet for justice. We're going to do the same to force the recusal of Josh Call from those 2 cases. Now, everyone thinks that these cases are going to go to the U.S. Supreme Court eventually, meaning the facts are going to be there, whether they're going to like them or not. The facts are going to be there before the U.S. Supreme Court about campaign money laundering. And we filed 4 ethics complaints against Tony Evers. 3 of the 4 were accepted for millions of dollars. We're going to go after Tony Evers to remove him from office. The pattern that you see, and I'm telling you about, they're their numbers. They're not my numbers. They're not our numbers. They're their numbers. If they want to challenge their numbers and say their numbers are wrong, then we got them for filing false campaign reports, which is a criminal act in Chapter 11. So we're going to get them either way. We're not going to try one way. We're trying 2 and 3 different ways that we're going to go after them. The pattern that I'm speaking about, they all use the same system or method to cheat and raise money and flood their campaigns with money. That's their Achilles heel, where we can take them all down across the country. That's where we're fighting so hard to get all this stuff filed as fast as we can, and we're backed up to the gills, but that's the way life is sometimes. So that's the first issue, right? That's all in progress. It's happening. Part of it already has happened, and it's progressing. Next issue. This is good news or bad news. The Press Gazette, 1940, about county Republican parties. I am making arguments and raising questions today. I'm stating that you guys don't exist. It's an illusion. Here it is, 1940, in the newspaper. The Republican Voluntary County Committee of its secretary, Mr. Bolin, gave so much money for that campaign. In the same article, a couple paragraphs down, the Republican Statutory Committee, filed by Mr. Frank Blanknick, different secretary. There used to be in the Republican Party statutory committees and voluntary committees. You can see in the history, and I give great thanks to Joel Brazil and other people that I personally interviewed and documents we reviewed, and the historical nature of our state statutes, that there always was statutory Republican committees at the county level, and there were voluntary committees. Over the years, they've watered down the statutory committees. In fact, I'll give you an example. Vilas County has an incorporation. You can look it up on the Wisconsin Department of Financial Institutions. They had an incorporation in 1958 for the Republican Party of Vilas County. They dissolved it in 1993. This occurred in basically every county in Wisconsin. The statutory Republican committees went away. There's one remaining that we can find. It's Milwaukee County. That's it. All the ones statutory are gone, and the reason why is the crooks at the Republican Party at the state level have been slowly modifying, deleting, changing state statutes. In Chapter 8, they've been changing the language. You can look at the history of it. Over the decades, they've been watering it down. They've been wanting to get rid of the statutory, because the statutory committee gives you a hell of a lot more power. They don't want those, because they want to be in control and have the money coming into their pockets. That's what's been happening. And Joel has done a lot of work of it, and I get requests daily. Look into this, look into that. Well, he caught my eye because I know the story what happened in Ozaukee County Republican Party, which I think I'm arguing. I'm going to make the argument here. They don't exist. Neither do your committees. They don't exist. I'm explaining exactly why. Is my reason my argument is that way. Ozaukee County, Robin Voss pulled a fast one and flipped out the conservatives last year. Membership plummeted. They installed the puppet, who now, the new chairman, actually does podcasts with Robin Voss's wife. They failed, I just learned this, they failed to file the papers. There will be no delegate to the convention coming up for Ozaukee County. They will not have a vote because the chairman failed to file the papers. In addition, he missed the deadline to file the papers for Republican observers at the upcoming election in February. They didn't file the papers at all. There will be 0 Republican observers in Ozaukee County at the next election because of the new chairman. You asked me, he missed 2 filing dates, and he didn't file anything to say, hey, I forgot, squeeze me in or make an exception or something. Still to this day, he hasn't filed those papers. You have to think it's by design. At least it raises the question. Now, the reason I say you don't exist, in the statutes, in Chapter 8 specifically, they've been modifying, deleting, changing, omitting language, reducing the statutory. It still exists, but the power of it and the language of it is watered down dramatically. Right? You have so-called, the RPW wants you to believe, you have voluntary Republican Party county committees. You don't. The reason why, when you file for an organization, a volunteer organization in the state of Wisconsin, now you can have one if you're a local group, you're volunteers, you can have a constitution and bylaws. Here's the key. Under Chapter 184, there's a little bit in Chapter 66 of the state statutes. The key is, as soon as you contact a government entity to be recognized, which is what? The Barron County Republican Party contacted the State Finance Committee to get a committee ID number, bingo. They also filed with the federal government for an EIN number, okay? They contacted the government, bingo. You have to have a charter. I've been asking 6 different conservative county GOP party chairmen for their charters. They can't get them to me. They don't exist. The RPW doesn't want you to know that. Because a charter is like an Articles of Incorporation. It creates a legal entity. Even if you're a volunteer organization under Chapter 184, the Articles of Incorporation are like used for an LLC, an Inc. It creates the legal entity. Now that's a more official legal entity, but in Wisconsin you can have a volunteer organization. But as soon as you go to the government and ask for something to be recognized, bingo, that kicks in. You need a charter. The charter in this context is or are the Articles of Incorporation. The RPW, I cannot find one. If you have a charter, please get one to me. I don't think you can find one. Now I have an email that probably most of you have seen or heard about. It's from Mark Jefferson. He was pressed on the issue. And Mark Jefferson, of course, is supposedly the president or the lead officer of the RPW Wisconsin. And he states, says, the county constitution serves as the actual charter. I'm telling you, he lies. Because in the RPW's constitution, that's right here, and you probably, most of you read this, Article 6, Section 5, it says, the executive committee of the RPW shall furthermore have the power to approve constitutions and bylaws for county organizations. then it has a comma, and to issue charters to the Republican Party of blank county. You don't have charters. You don't exist. Your committees that you're going around and saying, I'm a chairman of the Wapaka County Republican Party, it doesn't exist. It's nothing more than 5 of my neighbors sitting at the kitchen table with me, and the 6 of us say we're an organization. And we have state recognition. And we have a federal EIN number. No, we don't, because we don't have any charter. We don't have any articles of incorporation. It's required by statute. Look in chapter 184. Then read chapter 8. The RPW is pulling a fast one on you. It's an illusion. Then it gets better. It says, it being the duty of the county organization to so issue charters to towns, villages, wards, organizations. You can't issue a charter to these towns, villages, block captains, committeemen, because you don't have a charter. Their constitution is saying this, and the catch is here: the executive committee may, upon 2/3 vote, revoke the charters. It doesn't say revoke the constitution of the county. Their own constitution is telling you charters are to be issued by the RPW. I can guarantee this. There's a charter issued from the Republican National Committee to the state RPW. I guarantee it. Because the National Committee would never, ever, ever let that out of their control. But Robin Voss and his minions, who I'm going to name here, in fact, they're not his minions, they're his bosses, who's really controlling the RPW. The Barron County Republican Party, as you thought before you walked in this door, my argument is it doesn't exist because you don't have a charter. A charter is a legal contract that creates the entity, in this case being a volunteer organization, which are allowed in the state of Wisconsin. So, if you accept my argument, you take lemons, as they say, and make it into lemonade. Here's some suggestions. You demand to see your charters. When were they issued? Who signed them? What date were they issued? Who were they issued to? Who were they issued by? Demand to see the charters because it's in the RPW's constitution. It's their own wording. The second is, I would immediately go file incorporation papers, a nonprofit corporation, for the statutory Republican committee of your county. I'd do it immediately. It's still permitted, even though it's watered down, it's still permitted under Chapter 8. They can't touch you then. You're going to control the name. You're going to control it in your county. It's allowed by state statute. Then once you get that incorporation, nonprofit, Inc., it's a 501(c) or C or 4, you'd have to go talk to an attorney. Then you're going to have real control under state statute, and you can't have an RPW telling you what to do. The last is, I'm going to do this. I'll take Ozaukee County. We could do it Barron. If Barron County gets ousted today at 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock, when they put in the new puppet, he's going to be in the hot seat. File a public records or ethics request to the Ethics Commission and to the IRS and ask them, look, I know this organization of Barron County Republican Party doesn't have a charter. Is it still a legal entity under a volunteer organization chartered by the RPW, which is chartered by the RNC? So I'm going to challenge them because they're acting in the official capacity before the federal government with the EIN, an official state capacity with their committee ID number that you obtain from the campaign finance section of the Ethics Commission of the state of Wisconsin. that mandates then at that point you had to get a charter. The RPW doesn't want to know what I just all told you because they're creating this illusion. And I would also seriously question, very seriously, some of you have insurance policies. Ask that insurance company, tell them first, we don't have a charter, I can't produce one. Because you have to be honest with your insurance carrier or you could be accused of insurance fraud. These are questions I'm raising. So if your organization's out doing a parade and you incur a liability, what legal entity is the insurance company insuring if you don't have a charter? Ask them, do I need a charter? Because otherwise it's your butt on the line. And you know how attorneys can come after you in a split second to come after you and file a lawsuit for liability. There's attorneys out there who won't hesitate. They'll file it in 2 seconds. You could all be exposed potentially, if my arguments are right and correct, you could be exposed to some massive liability. Some little kid gets run over in a parade, it's your butt on the line. That's why you demand to see the charter from the RPW. If someone has one, I'd love to see it. I've been asking and asking and asking. Nobody can produce one. Can you produce a charter, sir?
No, I can't. But I got a question on that.
Well, I'll save questions, okay? Third and last topic. When the Ozaukee County Party got taken over by the bad guys, we started investigating who is behind this, who's doing this. As I said earlier, it's not Robin Voss. We found out who's really running the Republican Party. This is based on documents. This is based on person-to-person interviews of some old-timers, put it that way. And I want to comment, Robin Voss and his minions did change, again, the state statutes in 2014, watering down statute, Chapter 8, which permits voluntary and statutory committee organizations at the county level. So it was happening like 1993, 1999, 2014, so it's just a slow progression over time, and even going back earlier than that, progression over time where they're pushing out, they did push out the statutory organizations. There's only one left. There should be 72. There's only one. Where's the other 71? They're gone. I think it was by design. When you read the history from the start to the beginning, I think it's 1928 is when the official Republican Party of the state of Wisconsin, in this day and age, was created. But the late 60s even, they started changing things to push out the statutory because they can't control that, but they can control the voluntary, except they don't have a charter issued to you guys, to your counties. Okay? People who run the Republican Party. The first you do know is Reince Priebus. Of course, I don't even have to show you a picture. You all know what Reince Priebus looks like. Second one, James E. Ladwig. By the way, Reince Priebus is a lobbyist. Whether he's registered or not, he's a lobbyist. James E. Ladwig. He passed away a few months ago, but he was instrumental in this also. When he retired from the state assembly, that's what he started to do, and this is years ago, where his wife took over and got elected to the state assembly position that he retired from. Well, his wife and their son, James Jr., and I understand, I've been told James Jr. is a good guy. He's over in Racine County. Works for the county or some, maybe R.C. Johnson Wax or something now. But James E. Ladwig, who's passed away now, is a lobbyist. Next one. John Gard. John Gard, probably recognize a former politician. He's a lobbyist. Bill McCoshen. Bill McCoshen is a lobbyist. And you know who they work for, most of them? Michael Best and Friedrich. Michael Best and Friedrich created a new division. And Michael Best Strategies, LLC. Those are the guys in the organization, Michael Best and Friedrich. And there's an attorney there. I'm confirming or trying to confirm that I should name, but I'm not going to until I can learn some more. Those are the people who are really running the Republican Party. Not Mark Jefferson, not even Robin Voss. And I liken it to a mafia organization. You've got the top bosses that I just named. Then you have like the captains and or lieutenants, like Robin Voss, Schimming, Jefferson. They're just patsies, if anything. Of course, they're involved in part of it. The whole scam is $500–600 million comes into elections. Like this year, probably 600 million might come in. All they want is their cut. Now, doesn't it make a lot more sense? They don't care about winning elections. They don't care. Because the election in February, in April, in August, and November are going to happen because of state law. They're required to happen. They don't care if they win or lose. Doesn't it make a lot of sense to you now? All they want is a cut of that $500–600 million. Where these consultants, which has already been exposed on a national level, with Ronna McDaniel and the consultants being paid as high as a 40% cut. That's all they want. It's a money operation. All your letters and fights and donations and so forth to the Republican Party, I'm sorry to tell you, it's a waste. They don't care. Robin's there to take the heat, and Mark Jefferson to respond to your emails. They're puppets, they're lieutenants, they're captains. The people I just named are the ones, based on personal interviews, are the ones, the lobbyists. Lobbyists are running the Republican Party of the state of Wisconsin.
Wow.
Question.